motherfucker, the king is back.
You heard it here first, you guys. The Kings are back. Outside the Octagon is back with a new episode. This is episode 4 of the Outside the Octagon podcast. Going to be a little bit less serious than our previous episodes, talking about UFC 300 and stuff. We're kind of going to tone it down, just have a little bit more like of a comedic relief type episode, I guess you could say. You know, we're going to take it down a notch. Not as much on the like heavy predictions and stuff like that. Going to be a great episode for you guys, though. I'm your host, Charleston, Payne. Hopefully the transcript's able to get that right again this time. They had a good record last time. We'll see how it goes again. To my left, Jude Starns, possibly the GOAT, one of the greatest co-hosts of all time already. His name is cemented in legacy. He's on the Mount Rushmore already of co-host. But let's go ahead and get started with some topics we want to talk about. We're recording right now.
First topic. We've upgraded the setup for you guys, for you, okay? Fans, we needed to get a better setup, so we upgraded to the best in the game. So we should be improved. Hopefully you hear that through this episode. I just wanted to mention that.
We did completely improve the soundboard, change the game for this podcast. I'm so excited to have that now. Improved to the best in the game. You know, we already got great mics, cameras, treats us fairly well. Upgraded the computer and stuff, so that way we hopefully will not have any upcoming issues as far as getting episodes out. If an episode doesn't come out on the dot on Friday at 8 a.m., then that's probably one of our faults. Aside from that, though, let's start talking about some fighting.
Yes, sir.
What you got first for us today, Jude? I'll let you start the day off.
Okay, well, one more thing to mention. I just wanted to mention, go follow us on Instagram as always. And maybe we'll put that bad boy in the episode again, you know?
Probably right about there this time. We'll change it up a little bit. We'll go, wait, where's my finger? Right there. That's where we want it.
And we have another podcast through the OTO Entertainment. Green Check, guys. Go check that out for all your other sports picks. It's a great podcast. I listen to it every Thursday. So, great podcast to start your day on Thursday morning.
Every Thursday, that's hosted by myself and Jonathan Maese, the other co-host, Mount Rushmore guy. You know, there's not very many guys up there on that mountain. There's not many. You know, that y'all's faces are carved and cemented in legacy for OTO Entertainment, Outside the Octagon, and Green Check, guys. I would appreciate if you could give Green Check Guys a follow on Instagram as well. I'll put it right here. It's at Green Check Guys on IG. Thank you guys so much for tuning in already to the 4th episode of Outside the Octagon. I'm so excited to have the camera back again. So excited to have a good soundboard, new computer, fresh start, new beginnings. Outside the Octagon's back. What you got for us today, Jude?
All right, well, let's start it with some actual fighting now that we're through all that. And the Mac is back. As you heard at the beginning of the episode, Conor McGregor soundbite. But the Mac is back. So him and Chandler, going to be a great fight. Who's not excited? Every fan
International
of anything.
Fight Week,
yeah.
June 29th. It's going to be incredible. Jude and I definitely will be tuning into that. Tell you what, you guys, I need you to put in a little bit of work for me if you're listening tonight or today, whatever it may be. If you're listening, tell everybody you know to subscribe. If we hit 100 subscribers by the time that we get to 303 with McGregor Chandler, we will do our first live reaction to the fights. We'll stream it, whether it be on Twitch, on YouTube. We will be live streaming and reacting live to the fights, and you will be able to see it every step of the way.
It may be a little UFC 5 giveaway at 500 followers on Instagram.
I'll tell you what, Jude and I will even sign the copy of the game for you guys.
I'm down.
That's next level right there, let me tell you. Ain't that right?
I get begged for my autograph all the time, and, you know, got to turn them down sometimes, unfortunately. But
I know. It's a sad reality out here. You know, we're getting famous. We're YouTubers now, I guess you could say, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, moving on up in the world a little bit, getting on up there with the technological stuff, you know. I was able to actually get the Instagram in there where I said I was going to get it last time. We'll see if I can do that twice and keep my reputation up as a good host and expert editor.
Yeah, we're getting out the trailer park with this, baby.
I'm telling you right now. I'm so hyped. Another thing that hypes me up. Check me out. I got the Max Holloway UFC shirt. It came in. Shout out to Venom.com. They got it shipped over relatively quickly to be a Swedish company, considering that. it's quite a far haul, and they still got it here within a week. So, and I'm very hyped to have it.
And speaking of Max Holloway, Ilia coming up. That should be a great fight to watch. I can't wait to see that for the BMF and the featherweight title. It's going to be the first time ever that two belts are going to be won at once, other than multiple championships.
Right. I mean, that's going to be an awesome fight. It hasn't been officially, formally announced by Dana or anything, but I don't think there's any possible way that that's not what we see next for Ilia Topuria.
Yeah, and I know Ilia's very confident, but he has a reason to be confident. I mean, he's that guy. He beat Volk. He beat Josh Emmett. He's beat a lot of contenders, and sometimes the contenders are hungrier than those top 15 guys. So, we'll see.
Right. Only time will tell. And one thing that just still to this day, it amazes me about Max Holloway is the fact that he's only 32 years old. There's still a lot of prime left for that guy.
Yes, sir.
I feel like he's still got another 3-4 years of great fighting, I feel like there's a lot of time to grow.
For sure. Yeah, he's definitely got a lot of time. And Ilia definitely has a lot of time. He's a youngster in the game, one of the younger guys to ever win the belt. Of course, John Jones being, I believe, the youngest.
Right, yeah, Johnny Bone's definitely the youngest at 23. And I don't remember exactly how many days, so I'm not even going to say that.
7 months or something, yeah.
Yeah, just ridiculously young to get the undisputed belt wrapped around your waist as a mixed martial artist.
But he couldn't stay off that blow.
The blow,
no
the
diddy.
roids.
No diddy.
I'm telling you, no diddy. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm going to be putting a lot of stuff in here with the soundboard. I'll try to get that mixed in over to YouTube and stuff as well, so we'll be able to have it there. I'm sure I'll be able to figure that out and do it by the end of the evening or whatever, but I'm just really excited about this soundboard. We're probably going to mention that quite a few times throughout the episode. I mean, we got a lot of stuff that we could do with it. We got the music beat. I won't play that one because it's a little dragged out and a little long. But this is probably my favorite thing about it, is the fact that I could go right here with it.
What happened? This?
Oh, there it is. It's working now. That's what I'm talking about.
Or
you could go right here. If we ever have a suspect on or something,
But aside from that, super hyped to have the new soundboard. Super hyped to be bringing another episode to you guys. Jude, there was a topic that I got you to go into your phone and go ahead and fill out for me.
That's something I was excited to talk about. I was just fixing to mention that. I was almost excited is the views we was getting on the last episode. And I appreciate all the views on the last episode. We was really gaining some traction. Let's keep that going.
Yeah, keep growing this thing, you guys. I appreciate every single person that listens, like I've said before in previous episodes. Like I'm going to say today, like I'm going to say for every episode in the future. It's you guys. Like I appreciate all of you guys. All the love goes out to you. And we're going to prove that. Whenever you get us to 100 followers and 100 subscribers, we're going to do the live stream of the fight. Maybe by 500, we'll be giving out a UFC 5 copy. And if we get to 1,000, I'll definitely be doing something crazy. Like we'll get some autographed gloves or something and ship them out to a couple lucky fans.
And for those live reactions, hopefully we'll be able to even have the chance to have some of y'all on to watch the fight with us.
Right. I mean, it's gonna be absolutely awesome when we're able to get to that point. I mean, we already got everything we need: soundboard, mics, camera, brand new computer. Well, not brand new, but brand new for me. I'm hyped to have it. But anyway, that brings us to what we were getting towards. We've got our top 10 pound for pound list that we're gonna drop on you guys today. I've got mine in hand. Jude's got his in hand. Jude, give us your 10 guy to start it off.
Oh, so okay. So my 10 guy, obviously, Southeastern is where I go to school, so maybe a little bit of bias here. But I honestly, real talk, no bias. I think that this guy is going to be a champion in the near future at only the young age of 28, and it's Brendan Allen, jiu-jitsu specialist. He's on a 7-fight win streak, absolute tear through the division. He's ground and pounding guys. Just that elbow off the ground has been insane from him. He's cut guys up. He submits them, and he's one of the best. He reminds me of Charles Oliveira of the middleweight division, and we haven't seen a guy that's that good with submissions in the middleweight in a long time. He's dangerous on the ground. He's dangerous on the feet. Brendan Allen, much love coming from Southeastern. He's doing it for the alumni, baby. So yeah.
I'm telling you. Hopefully one day, I mean, no guarantees. Hopefully one day, though, we'll be able to have him as a guest and have him speak.
Yes, sir.
As a matter of fact, not no guarantees. We're going to have Brendan Allen on to speak to you guys one day and speak with us.
And Brendan Allen, I believe he's number 6 in middleweight, so hopefully a championship fight's coming soon. 7-fight win streak, he's definitely deserving. He's beat a lot of young, hungry guys, and he's starting to climb up the ladder and beat guys like a guy that's on UFC 301 tonight, Paul Craig, does the Braveheart face paint in the pre-games and the weigh-ins, and so I think he's a great fighter, and he absolutely destroyed Paul Craig with the 3rd-round submission. His submission defense is good. I just can't say enough about Brendan Allen. So I definitely thought it was a no-brainer. I had to put him at 10. A lot of people's going to call me crazy from that. Call me crazy now, but in the future, you'll agree. Trust me.
I don't really disagree with it, but at my 10 spot coming in at the number 10, I've got Jiri Prochazka. One of my favorite fighters, like we talked about throughout the 300 predictions episodes and the recap episode. Jiri is just one of my favorite guys to watch fight. He doesn't fight very often. He's not the most active. That's the only reason I don't have him any higher on my PFP list. But he's an incredible fighter, incredibly fun to watch. The angles that he strikes at is just it's hard for any fighter to comprehend, especially not in the first round. Like, you're not going to go in the octagon with Jiri and right off the bat just have it down and know how to defend the angles that he's throwing from. Because it's really awkward. It's kind of like an Anderson Silva almost. But it's hard to figure out because he doesn't fight as often as guys like that did.
Yeah, so you don't see a lot of them. And I definitely don't disagree. The only thing I disagree with that on that take is I think Jiri should be higher. I know he doesn't fight a lot, but dude's incredible when he does fight. He's a tough opponent for anybody.
Right. I'll go ahead and go with my 9, and then I'll let you go with your 9. At 9 for me, I have Leon Edwards. Leon was an incredible fighter leading up to becoming a champion. Getting that belt was an incredible fight. He was pretty much getting his ass handed to him for a solid amount of that fight with Kamaru Usman. And then right there within the last 45 seconds, I believe it was, big head kick after his coaches were trying to tell him to set it up. He finally took the idea from them and listened, sets up the hit kick, and just obliterates Kamaru Usman, which I really like Kamaru Usman. I think he's an absolute legend of the game. One of the fighters as well that got me into the sport. Just an incredible fighter. But Leon is also very good. It's just that he's kind of gotten a little boring as a champion, like to watch him fight. Like, he got outstruck by Colby Covington. That is stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree at all. That's why Leon Edwards is not higher on my list. He's at number 9 for me as well. And it's not because he was so exciting. It really sucks what being a champion can do to guys. Like, Volk was so exciting, and they become champions and they play for decision. And I can't blame them. That's what the best champions have done. That's the best game plan as a champion, probably, is to fight for a decision. But as we mentioned before, this isn't boxing. We want to see people just get beat down. We want to see fights. And we don't want decision fighters in the sport. So I just can't put him any higher. He was so exciting to watch before he became a champion. Not taking anything away from him. That's why I have him on this list. But he's definitely became more boring deeper into his title run. But he's held the title for a little while now. I'd like to see him get more active, but we'll see. I mean, great fighter, no doubt.
So it's been rumored, while we're on the concept of the welterweight division here, and since I mentioned Colby Covington, it's been rumored that the Colby Covington Ian Gary fight is going to possibly be the co-main event for McGregor Chandler. And I think that would just be absolutely incredible. I think that would be an incredible fight to watch. Colby Covington versus Ian Gary. They've been the hype building up to this fight. They've both been talking back and forth at each other for a very long time now, and I think it might finally be a reality. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, the Cuck versus USA. So,
I'm telling you.
So
go USA, but
retirement fight too.
It is. I completely. I don't know how I skipped over that part when I was explaining the fight, but they both said that whoever loses has to retire after and never fight in the UFC again. Now, do I think they're going to hold up to that promise?
No,
probably not.
Neither one of these guys are retiring anytime soon.
But
Colby Covington, if I see you in the street, you're a little cat. I'm not going to curse. You know? So, but Colby Covington, I'm not scared of you. You would beat me down, but still, I hate Colby Covington. All my homies hate Colby Covington. because he hates Dustin Poirier. Simple as that. And he's a piece of crap, to be honest. Colby Covington, he was a stand-up guy, and the UFC almost cut him, if you know his story. And they said they needed more character, and he's now he's become the character that they want him to be. He's really that guy now. He's not a good person anymore. He's an absolute piece of garbage.
Yeah, that is quite true, to be honest with you. But moving on, let's hear your number 8 spot.
So for my number 8, I actually went Jiri. And you're going to notice as I talk about my list more and more, I lean towards the heavyweight guys because when you're talking pound for pound, I like to lean towards the heavyweight guys because pound for pound to me means the baddest guy if you put them against other people. So I'm going to lean more towards heavyweight guys. Now, obviously, that's not always the case. Royce Gracie, early in the UFC when there was no weight classes, beat plenty of guys that was bigger than him, like Dan Henderson and people like that. So, can it happen? Yeah, but we don't get to see that anymore. So, I try to lean more towards the heavyweights. We talked about Jiri. His angles are just different than any other fighter. Insanely good fighter on the feet. And he's underrated on the ground, to be honest. You can't really say enough about Jiri. He's been a great fighter through his career. Just like to see him more active, and I don't see how you could keep him off your pound for pound list. He's proved it every time he stepped into the octagon. He's truly one of the most dangerous people in the UFC.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And at my number 8 spot, me personally, I'm kind of agreeing with Jude in a sense on the way his list is going, like leaning a little bit more towards the heavyweights. That's why I got this guy a little low on my list. But you already know, it's the blessed man forever, Mr. Max Holloway. Max, to me, is just an absolute legend. Another one of those guys that kind of got me into the sport a little bit. Like, I know I give props to a lot of these people, but I mean, if it weren't for these people that I'm not making this stuff up. I'm not just saying this for every name. Leon Edwards did not get me into this because watching Leon Edwards as a champion makes me want to quit watching the UFC because he's boring as shit. Like, he's a snooze fest when he fights nowadays. But Max Holloway has always just been an interesting fighter to me. He's got a great story growing up and stuff, how he got to this point. Love Max, love the person that he is. Can't wait to be able to meet him one day and have him on the podcast, hopefully at some point. That might be a long way away from now. It might be 2 months from now. Never know. But Max Holloway is an absolute legend in my eyes, and I don't think you could ever change my mind on that. That's why I got to put him at the 8 spot in my pound for pound list. He is the BMF, the blessed man forever.
And he's the best boxer in the UFC.
No doubt about that. So moving on to my 7 spot. I'm not the biggest fan of this guy. Chinaman, I'm not the biggest fan. Israel Adesanya, though, there's no denying he's a great fighter. He's had a great run in every single aspect of fighting. In boxing, he's only had 1 loss. In kickboxing, I think he had like 6 losses and had like 170-something wins. Like, he's just ridiculous. Like, he's been doing this thing. Was very active. I understand taking a break after getting beat down by Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland's like one of my goats, though, personally. But aside from that, I understand taking the break while getting beat down from Strickland, but I'm kind of excited to see Izzy get back in the octagon.
And that's a guy that I didn't have on my list, but I could definitely see how you could put him on your list. But to me, I think his days are kind of numbered. He's kind of out of his prime. That's a bold statement to make, but I just feel like people's finally figured him out, and he's not the same champion that he once was. Hopefully he proves me wrong. Not the biggest fan of Izzy, but definitely a great fighter. Had one of the best runs in middleweight history, so I could see how you could put him on your list. And with that being said, though, my number 7 is a guy I think is very underrated right now, and it's Tom Aspinall. I think he is the true heavyweight champion. I like John Jones. I don't hate John Jones. I would like to see more John Jones fights. But John Jones, he's getting older now, and I think Tom Aspinall, hopefully we'll see that fight at some point. I think he's the true heavyweight champion. Tom Aspinall, people just don't talk about him, and they act like he's done nothing in the UFC, but he took the interim heavyweight championship. He was a great fighter. Yeah, he looked good. I'd like to. I want to see more fights. He's got a fight coming up for the What would
I
have
think
been?
it's 304.
304
Manchester.
and Manchester. So at home, that's always fun to watch a fighter at home. Nobody's ever going to beat McGregor.
They're screwing Manchester right now with the time. I know you saw that. You and I had a conversation about it over the phone.
Yes, sir.
3 a.m. start time locally for Manchester. Sure, that saves us fans that are here watching from Louisiana or the United States or Brazil or anything like that. But what about the fans that are going to go? Like, do you just expect them to pretty much be on the training regimen these fighters are on or something?
Yeah.
Like, do you expect them to stay up every single night for like a week leading up to that, to like 4 a.m, 5 a.m, just to make sure that their body's in enough shape to be able to go make it through that?
Yeah, and I understand a lot of the pay-per-views are coming from the U.S., so you have to cater to the U.S., but personally, I was kind of excited to wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning and watch that fight low key. But I understand definitely from Dana White's perspective, but I'm going to have to agree with you there. I think that the Manchester fans are being screwed right now, and I think that they should move that to a more reasonable time.
You know what's crazy? Leon Edwards is from there, and he's so inactive as a champion that he's not even going to fight on the card in his home country.
Yeah, that's insane.
Like the last time we saw him fight was what? December, right? On 296?
I believe so. Edwards Covington was his last fight.
I think it was 296, and it was Edwards Covington, and that was in December before Christmas.
What a boring fight. You know,
I turned it off.
Yeah, I mean, you come to expect that, though, out of Colby Covington. I was hoping for more out of Leon Edwards, but Colby Covington, I mean, that's who he is as a fighter. He's just a boring guy, boring person. Like I said, all my homies hate Colby Covington. Who likes Colby Covington? Piece of trash, man.
Right. I don't necessarily disagree with that at all. Jude, let's hear about your 6th spot.
Okay, so my 6th spot, I actually went a little higher because I think that Max Holloway still has time in the UFC. I think he can still move up, and we're going to see that in his future. He's staying very active. Like I said, he's going to be fighting Ilia very soon here. So I went with the blessed man, Max Holloway from Hawaii. So I think he's absolutely, no doubt, the best boxer in the featherweight division. He moved up to lightweight, and that's why you have to have him higher on your pound for pound, in my opinion, is because he will fight anybody. He's the BMF now. After the Justin Gaethje fight, how can you not put him higher on your pound for pound list? I think he could hang him with any lightweight. He could definitely destroy any featherweight. Still a lot of time. He's going to be a champion. I wouldn't even be surprised to see him get that belt and get a lightweight belt at the same time.
That's one thing that's kind of been on my radar personally for him.
And I haven't thought about that.
I mean, there's still a lot of time left. Dude, he's only 32 years old.
Yeah, he's still got a good 8 fights left.
Let me tell you this crazy statistic about Max. If you take away his first 18 fights in the UFC, he would still have the most significant strikes landed out of any fighter ever. Minus his first 18 fights. You know, that goes to show you how active he's been to only be 32 years old, and you could take away 18 of his fights and he's still
So with that being said, I'm going to put you on the spot. How do you not have him higher on your pound for pound list? You know,
that's a fair point. That's a very fair point, honestly. I had to give you the little air horn or whatever the hell it's called. I had to give you that one.
No, I had to take a little shot there.
The reason I couldn't put him any higher is because my number 6 guy is Alexander Volkanovski. I still think Volk's one of the greatest fighters to ever do it. I think if he decides to go back into the Octagon, I think he's going to prove that he can still do it as long as he doesn't go back in there too soon. My whole take on the Volk-Ilia fight was Volk was going to lose by knockout from getting chinned by Islam just a few months before that. I just don't. When you get knocked out, you got to take the Justin Gaethje route. Like, you need to take a couple months off before you even go back into the sparring, much less before you go straight back into fighting again in the UFC where there's no soft pads on you or anything to protect you at that point. You don't need to just get thrown back into the Octagon after getting chinned, especially when you reach that age that Volkanovski's at now. Now, if a 26-year-old UFC fighter goes in there and he gets chinned one time, he could go back and fight 2 months later and probably be fine. But once you reach that certain age, like once you pass about 33, 34 years old, you can't just keep getting chinned over and over and keep thinking that you're going to go out there and be able to win, especially not if you're going to go get chinned by Islam and then be like, oh, this hot guy coming up in the featherweight division, Ilia Topuria, the hardest hitter in the division probably ever, wants a shot at me. Let me go give him that after I just got knocked the hell out. Like, I don't really understand the whole idea there from Volkanovski.
Yeah, and I don't disagree necessarily. I don't have Volk on my top 10 pound for pound, but I could see how you could make that. But currently, I just can't put Volk on my top 10 after getting chinned 3 times now. But the good news is I do respect Volk a whole lot. If you're ever late for work, if you're ever sick, and even today, I was like, maybe I'm not going to make it in time, Volk, and I'm in traffic, and he was like, hey, I'll step in for you on 5 minutes notice. He's sitting here right now. I mean, basically.
I'm telling you.
He will come in for anybody at any time for anything. So that's the good news about Volk. He's not scared of anything, anybody, any job. He's always waiting on standby. I haven't been many places where I don't see Volk. You see him around all the time. He's waiting to step in on 5 minutes notice. So that's one thing you got to give Volk. So I could see how you could put him on your top 10 pound for pound. But he's just, after getting chinned so much, I just can't put him on there. I want to see Volk be great again, but let's make Volk great again. So
that walkout, man, I'm telling you, like, it literally almost like makes me tear up. I get so excited when that, you know?
Yeah.
Well, did I do that pretty good, you think?
Yeah.
I was kind of grooving with it, you know? I was kind of feeling it right there. But that'll lead me right into my number 5 guy on the pound for pound list. We're getting down to our top 5s here. This is where it kind of gets crunchy, and Jude and I are probably about to start arguing a little bit. At the number 5 spot, just because he just chinned Alexander Volkanovski during UFC 298, I've got Ilia Topuria up there at the 5 spot. Undefeated guy. He's been chinning everybody on his way to the top. And I think the only person that could put a stop to that would probably be Max Holloway.
No doubt. So I think Ilia, that's a respectable take in my opinion. But I think Ilia's a little higher right now, the El Matador. But with that being said, my number 5 is going to be Islam Makhachev. And
Jude's number 5 is bullshit. That's what it is.
Listen.
You don't have a good enough.
I'll
tell you what. Islam will be number 5 after June 1st.
So,
on June 2nd, he's going to drop to number 5.
Charleston knows. We'll go into detail on that fight. I have a very good take on that fight.
Incredible.
So I'm not going to sound as retarded. But Islam, he hasn't defended the lightweight belt yet. Who's he beat? Tell me who he's beat. Alexander, he's not a lightweight. Defend the belt against the lightweight, I'll give you your props. But everybody's just got his, stuff so far down his throat. I can't even hear him talk. He's number 5 on my list. I can't put him higher. He hasn't defended the belt against the lightweight. I want to see him fight more guys. Not saying that he can't be great, but he's not there yet, in my opinion.
Right. I don't disagree. But while we're still on the topic of Islam, actually, we'll wait till I get to him and then you can give us your take. But who do you have at your number 4 spot?
Well, I have Sugar Sean O'Malley. And the only thing that I regret, I should have put him higher. Sugar Show has been incredible to watch. He's been good on the feet, absolutely great on the feet. And who doesn't like watching a boxer just box in the UFC? So he's knocked a lot of guys out. He almost knocked down Cheeto. He doesn't go for decisions. That's what I like. He's going for a finish every time. Insanely good athlete. He's going to join the NBA after he's done with the UFC, he said. He'll go fight anybody, anywhere. So he's willing to go to boxing for Ryan Garcia. So he's about making his money, but I think Sugar Sean O'Malley is a tough guy to keep off your pound for pound rankings. And he's only going to get better. And he keeps getting better. And a lot of that goes to Tim Welch. Tim Welch is probably the best coach in the game. A lot of respect to Tim Welch. I think he's a great person, great guy.
Yeah, Tim Welch is an incredible coach. That leads me to my number 4, which is the exact same guy as Jude, the Sugar Show, Sugar Sean O'Malley. And Jude pretty much took everything I had to say while explaining why he's there, as well as saying I kind of wish I would have put him a little bit higher, as do I. I mean, what just amazes me about the Sugar Show is he gets to this point where he's got the belt and he's still not chasing just decision wins, just 50-45 in guys or 49-46 in guys. Like he's actually in there and he's trying to go and get these finishes every single time he steps in the octagon, whether it be a championship fight. I don't know what I just said right there. A championship fight, or whether he's out there chasing down just a contender fight. Whenever he was on his way up to the belt, he was always a guy that was going for a finish, never a big decision fighter. And I love that. I love to see active UFC fighters like the Sugar Show. I like how he calls everybody out, and everybody he calls out is always, I'm going to KO that guy. He's going to wax Merab. He's going to knock Merab out. That's what he says. I'm not saying that. I'm about to say what I have to say on that. Can Sean O'Malley absolutely KO Merab Wallace? I'm not going to try it again. I tried it during our trailer episode. I'm not even going to try again. I had it. I felt like I had it, and then I got like halfway through, and it was just a bunch of letters mixed up for me.
It happens.
But can Sean O'Malley chin Merab? Yes. Sean O'Malley has the power. He's got the striking ability. He's got that looping right straight that's just nasty. He kind of comes around with it, but it's at the same time, it's just a straight punch, so it almost looks like a hook. Very hard to defend against. I think he definitely could chin Merab. But I think Merab is a very, very, very good wrestler. You've seen him pick up world-class, world champion wrestler Henry Cejudo, walk him over to Mark Zuckerberg, drop him off like he had him a freaking Christmas present, and just talk to Mark Zuckerberg while he's literally just controlling a world-class. He made Henry Cejudo look like I was wrestling Merab. Tell me I'm wrong there. Like, you saw the fight.
You're not wrong.
You saw the fight.
And that's
Merab is the machine.
That's what I was going to bring up. Merab is a guy that I didn't really think about, but I could see somebody having them on the pound for pound list. He's really proven it. I need to see a little more out of him. I need to see a few more fights personally against some bigger names. But he's defeated a lot of big name guys. He's got a resume. He defeated Peter Yan, who is no joke. And so Merab could definitely be on this list, a guy that no doubt could. I just need to see him with the belt. And I think he'll get the belt at some point. So I really would like to see that fight between him and Sugar Sean, because Merab, he's an unstoppable force right now. I think he is what everybody thinks Islam is.
That's actually a really fair point. I kind of like that take. I got to say I like that take. I really do. But go ahead. Let's hear your number 3 spot, Jude. Since we're getting into the top 3, it's about to get real crunchy right here.
And so my 3 and 4, I think I could have put them either way. I go Ilia 3, El Matador. He's been great. So, and we've already talked about him really. So, but Ilia, the only thing about him is he's calling all these guys out like he's held the belt for so long. He just beat Alexander and Josh Emmett. We need to see him fight some top featherweight guys like Brian Ortega's and, Max Holloway. So we need to see him get some more fights under his belt. I think he could be a 2-division champ. He's definitely an up-and-coming superstar, but he's just got to get more fights under his belt. So maybe I should have went Sean at 3 and Ilia at 4, but I think you could put those guys either way, in my opinion. Definitely two youngsters.
It still makes sense either way you put them.
Yeah.
No doubt. I don't disagree with that at all.
And your number 3, by the way, you're fixing to hear it. And I disagree with it very heavy. And I'm not like a big fan of this guy, but I don't see how you could put him this low.
At my number 3, I've got Alex Paeta, Poatan. I think I definitely could have put him at the 2 and swapped him out with my guy at the 2. We'll get into who that is when we get there. Poatan is great, and I think whenever you're talking pound for pound, you get in that top 3, there's a lot of things you have to look at. Like Poatan, sure, he speed ran the UFC. He got to the belt in 9 fights. Chins Izzy, then gets beat by Izzy at middleweight. It's like, okay, let me move up to light heavy. Gets the light heavy belt in 2-3 fights. He's a dog. Like I could easily see him being at the 1, 2, or 3 spot. I don't think you could go any lower than 3 with Pereira, though.
And with that being said, I'm going to move on to both our number 2s, the unanimous number 2, and I think there's no exclamation that needs to be made here. Everybody should know why, and you haven't heard the name yet.
You probably know who's coming right here.
You know who's coming. He's got to come at some point on the pound-for-pound top 10 list. He's fought in multiple divisions now. He's getting older, so only a few fights left in the tank for him, but it's John Jones. Johnny Bones.
Bones.
Yes, sir.
I mean, Jude pretty much summed it up very well right there. I mean, if you're talking greatest fighter of all time, John Jones either has to be one or two. The only other guy that's even in contention with John Jones that I sometimes like to think, you know what, maybe I should give the nod to him, is DJ, Demetrius Johnson, Mighty Mouse. Like, I don't know. It's a tough run right there for who the greatest fighter of all time is in the UFC. I think it's between the two of those guys, though, without a doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. I could see that, and a lot of people will say Khabib don't really have the resume. He retired early, so I think John Jones definitely, he's top 10 all time. He's probably top all time, so how could you not have him on the pound-for-pound list right now because he's currently fighting?
Right.
So you want to say you're number one first? Because I disagree with your number one. I think more people should agree with me because I'm right.
I think he's number one right now. I think after June 1st, come June 2nd, I think he drops like the 5 or 6 guy because I think Dustin Poirier absolutely either chins him or jumps the gilly on him. But I got to go with the number one guy pound for pound right now is Islam Makhachev. And the reason being, I mean, you've seen the guy fight so many times. He's only got one loss, one blemish on his record. Jude's going to get into that in a minute. I'm not going to steal
We're
going to
do that this episode or next? You want to do it this episode? We'll go this episode.
Whatever you're thinking. If you feel like you need to let it out now and let it be known,
I think we'll cover it. That fight's got a little time, but I'm gonna have a very good take. We'll do that on the next episode so we can cover a little bit of UFC 301 just to touch some of the main fights.
Okay, yeah, but Islam is my number one guy. I think it's very easy to put Islam at the number one. There's not very many people that would disagree with that. For right now, like I said, after June 1st, whole other story. More than likely, we're going to see a new guy jump into these pound for pound rankings, and he's going to be the new. I mean, I go to sleep hearing it. You know, like when I'm in my dreams, and new lightweight champion of the world, Dustin the Diamond.
And let me tell you guys, pressure makes diamonds. Simple as that. Simple as that. That's all that needs to be said here. He's going to be on this top 10 pound for pound greatest fighter.
That's all that has to be said.
But my number one, Poatan Pereira. How can you not say he's collecting infinity stones? He's going through the gauntlet. They're talking about him moving up to heavyweight and fighting heavyweight now against John Jones. He's got the belt in middleweight and light heavyweight. He's got the strongest punch in the UFC, insane amount of power coming from his hips. He's just, I feel like he could be better on the ground. We haven't seen, but he hasn't had to use it. The only time he's had to get on the ground is to hammer fist the guy out. Yeah. So, I mean, there's been no competition, and I hate it. I love Jamal Hill. I want to see somebody beat Pereira, but how could you not have Pereira at number one, in my opinion? He's just been incredible since he's joined.
Yeah, Pereira is an absolute legend in the game. Like I said, like Jude said, he's got the Infinity Stones. Like I said, he speed ran the UFC. How crazy would it be to have the first triple champion between the divisions, middleweight, light heavy, and heavyweight? Do you know how hard it is to win in light heavyweight or heavyweight in general? I think he could easily move up to heavyweight and win.
And in that short amount of time, too. He's done it so quick. And so yeah.
I mean, he's only been in the UFC, what, 4 years?
Not mistaken. He's been insane. So
absolutely,
there's nothing more to say about him. He's just incredible. So
right. But is there any honorable mentions you might have had, like maybe like to throw in the 11 or 12 spot or something, or
maybe Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier? There's a lot of guys you could throw in. I mean, there's a lot of guys that could be from 7 and down that you could switch in and out. So I don't think you could really go wrong. There's a lot of good takes you could have on pound for pound rankings.
Just so you guys know, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to let you see my phone right quick. It is Saturday, May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. But today is the day of UFC 301. I'm going to let you know right now at 4:38 p.m., an hour before the fights start in Central Time Zone, Steve Erceg will be on your pound for pound list at the end of this week. I promise you, by the time this episode drops, Erceg's going to be up there. He's going to be your top 10 guys. One of your top 10 guys, because he's an absolute dog. I think the Astro Boy is going to chin the shit out of Alexandre Pantoja. Jude, do you have a take on that fight right quick? I mean,
I definitely, I agree 100%. We talked about this a lot. Pantoja's no joke, but Steve Erceg, he's incredible. He's just so underrated. He's not flashy, but he's got all the basics. And Bruce Lee said, don't fear the guy who's practiced 1,000 punches one time. Fear the guy who's practiced one punch 1,000 times. He's a master at just basic boxing combinations, and that's what makes him so dangerous. Nothing flashy. He just gets it done.
Right, yeah. Erceg is going to be a legend in the game. I mean, people are like, oh, he's the number 10 flyweight, and people don't really watch flyweight that much. When Erceg's got that belt, you're going to be tuned into the flyweight division because Erceg is an incredible fighter, and he also is Bedtime MMA. I don't know if you watch Bedtime, if you're listening to our podcast here. Bedtime MMA is a great YouTuber. He is Steve Erceg, and Steve Erceg is Bedtime MMA, and Steve Erceg also is him, and he's going to prove that on May the 4th. At the time of this episode being recorded, although this episode is not going to drop until next Friday, you will have heard it here first. Previous to you've seen my phone. You guys know that that's the date and time. Like, none of this stuff's being made up. We're telling you in advance, this is what's going to happen.
And a lot of exciting guys on this UFC 301 card, and I'm sorry for anybody who is really looking forward to us covering UFC 301, but let's just be honest, it hasn't been one of the more exciting cards. I've seen a lot more fight nights. Still a good card. I'm going to watch it. Could be some shockers on there. King of Brazil's back, but, just wasn't quite as exciting as the normal card.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and another thing is we couldn't get anything out because of us having to go about the route with getting a new computer and stuff, so everything kind of changed due to that. But from this point forward, we're back. Expect more episodes like this. Expect more serious episodes sometimes, kind of like the 300 episodes. That's all we have for you today. Our pound for pound list. I think we kind of broke it down very well. We gave everybody a reasoning behind everything well. Jude, like I said, on the Mount Rushmore of co-host already. This guy's an absolute legend. He's speed running the podcast game with Outside the Octagon and OTO Entertainment, as is Jono, my co-host over at the Green Check Guys. Go check us out over there at Green Check Guys on Instagram. Also, check out Outside the Octagon on Instagram at Outside the Octagon Pod _. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Jude, any final words?
Oh, one final word. Thank you all for watching. Get us to 500 followers on Instagram so we can do some nice giveaways and some live reactions to the fights. One more thing, we know the wall is blank. We're going to have some nice little posters up here soon, hopefully.
Very soon, very soon.
Next upgrade to the studio. Like I said, we've been putting in a lot of hard work behind the scenes. We know it's going to pay off. It's all for you guys. So hopefully we can continue to get back to you. And thanks for watching, like I said.
Right. I mean, like Jude just said, all this stuff is all for you guys, all the listeners. We appreciate every single one of you, and we want to prove that whenever we get the opportunity to gain more followers and gain a little bit more traction by doing all these giveaways and stuff. I promise you we're going to come through with really nice stuff, and everybody's going to have an equal chance to win. All you're going to have to do is probably just go repost a post on your story on Instagram or something like that. It's not going to be anything that you got to do that's complicated. You're not going to have to pay us in order to get access to the giveaways. Just simply pressing 2 buttons on your phone. Get a little thumb workout in, But thank you guys so much for tuning into the 4th episode of the Outside the Octagon podcast. Jude and I appreciate you for listening as always, and that'll be a wrap.